Greetings, pen pals. I haven't done a video with a really high-end pen in quite some time, so here we go. This is the Pelikan Souverain M1005 Stresemann. So this is the 1000 size Pelikan. So this is the flagship size Pelikan pen, and it is a big pen. So just to give you some comparison, here it is compared to a Lamy Safari and a Pilot Metropolitan. You can see it is decently larger than either of these. It's also a fairly girthy pen. To compare it to some other flagship pens, here it is compared to a Montblanc 149. And interestingly enough, it is pretty much the exact same size. So what we basically have here is the two major high-end German pen manufacturers' flagship models are pretty much exactly the same length. So I have a Pelikan M1000 series and a Montblanc 149. Let's compare it to some other Pelikan pens, though, for comparison purposes, because I think that'll be pretty interesting. Okay, so here we go, comparing it size-wise in terms of where it fits in with modern Pelikan M-series piston filling pens. So this is sort of Pelikan's main line of pens. So working our way up in size, this is an M205, so that's a 200 series. This is a steel nib pen. An M400, which would be a gold nib pen, would be the exact same size as this pen. Next we go up, and all the rest are gold nib pens. We have an M600. This is an M805, and then this is the M1005 that we're talking about today. So you can see the pens get longer and girthier as you go up the line. The numbering system and naming system for Pelikan pens is very straightforward. If it begins with an M, that's a piston filling pen. The number 200, 400, 600, 800 indicates the size of the pen. The larger the number, the bigger the pen. The last digit, if it's a 0, it's gold-plated trim. If it's a 0, it's gold-plated trim. If it's a 5, it is rhodium-plated trim. So this pen is an M600 with gold-plated trim. This is an M805 with rhodium-plated trim. The pen we're talking about today is an M1005, also with rhodium-plated trim. These pens are considered special editions. This is the M805 Ocean Squirrel, and this is the this is the M1005 Stresemann, which is also what they call a special edition. These are not numbered limited editions, but they are special editions. This is a very standard design M600 that is sort of an open-ended design, not a special edition at all. The gold nibbed pens in this Pelikan series, they use the brand Souverain, which means sovereign. This is very similar to Montblanc, which brands their pens that in this standard flagship design Meisterstück, which means masterpiece in German. So this is sort of their branding name, or their name of the series, if you will. So as you can see, getting larger as we go. Although this is a pretty big pen, this M1005, not a fantastically heavy pen. It's 35 grams. It's got some heft to it, definitely a hefty pen, but it's not what I would call a particularly heavy or weighty pen. It's a good appropriate size given good appropriate weight given the size of the pen. Okay, back to our M1005. This, like I said, is the Stresemann edition. It is called that. This gray and black pinstriped pattern is made to look like the gray and black pinstripes of a type of men's formal suit that is called in Germany and a few other countries, that type of suit is referred to as a Stresemann. And the reason this type of suit is referred to as a Stresemann is because of this gentleman here. His name was Gustav Stresemann. He was the German foreign minister and a Nobel Peace Prize laureate, actually. And apparently he was quite the fashion trendsetter of his day, and he made the type of suit with these gray pinstripe pants quite popular for by wearing them himself, and that's why it is named after him, and that's why this pen is named after him as well. So that's this really nice sort of gray pinstripe pattern. The terms of the pattern, it's not, it's very, very similar, if not basically the exact pattern, as the traditional stripe pattern used on many, many other Pelikan pens. They have this, Pelikan has over the years, both in regular and in special editions, used this pinstripe pattern on many, many other pens. So there's nothing particularly special or unique about the pattern. It's this particular gray color that makes it the special edition. Again, the design is very, very classic Pelikan design. It has the classic Pelikan bill-shaped clip. The finial is, again, the classic Pelikan design finial with the Pelikan feeding the baby chick. It is a piston filler. This is an actual piston turning knob here. It has a couple of rhodium plated rings. Around the cap band, it says Pelikan Souverain Germany. It is a screw to uncap, and what I really like about these Pelikan pens, it only takes 3/4 of a turn to unscrew this. So really, really easy to open, and it posts very, very smoothly, nicely, and cleanly, if I may say, and it doesn't pose any particular backweighting issues, although it is a huge pen posted. You might not want to use it posted just because of the size alone, not having anything to do with the weight. It is really big posted. I personally do like to use it posted, but I could definitely see how some people might not like to post this pen. Now let's talk about the nib. This nib is a beauty. A lot of higher end Pelikan pens have a dual toned rhodium and gold tone nib. This has a solid rhodium nib. Putting gold tone on this pen would ruin the color scheme. So this is has a single color nib, beautiful scroll work, Pelikan logo, 18 karat 750, and an M for medium, and it has the really nice and, dare I say, beefy Pelikan plastic feed. The section itself is not a big section considering how big this pen is. It's got a nice rim for comfort. These threads are barely noticeable. You can't feel them really at all. So you could pretty much grip this pen anywhere, even gripping it right on top of the threads would probably be fine. And the in terms of the design of the barrel, it's a little bit deceptive. It's not a straight barrel. It comes out, bulges a tiny bit in the middle, and then tapers again. So it's a very sort of subtle design element, but it makes it really comfortable and really sort of aesthetically pleasing and quite attractive. I think it's probably worthwhile comparing this nib size, this nib to other nibs. So first, let's just look at it relative to a Pilot Metropolitan, and it makes the Pilot Metropolitan nib look absolutely puny by comparison. But let's compare it to some of the other Pelikan nibs just to get a good size basis. Okay, here you go for size comparison purposes. So this is our Pelikan M1005. This is 18 karat. This is our Pelikan M805, also 18 karat. This is the Pelikan 600. This is 14 karat, and this has that sort of dual color, dual tone nib, which looks great on this pen. But like I said, on either the 805 or 1005, wouldn't look good. And this is a steel nib in the M205. Had this been a 400 series Pelikan, it would have been the same size nib as this, except in gold. So as you can see, as the pens get bigger, the nibs get substantially bigger as well. All of these pens write beautifully as well, and we're going to do a writing sample shortly with our friend the M1005 in a minute. It's probably worth spending just a moment comparing the 1000 series Pelikan nib with the Montblanc 149 nib from a size perspective. So from a the shape of the nib is very different, as you can see. The shoulders on the Montblanc nib and the Pelikan nib are completely different, and the length of the tines, etc. So the whole layout and dimensioning of the nib is very different, but size-wise, they're very, very comparable. This Montblanc 149, of course, does have a two-tone nib, and this particular one is a vintage Montblanc 149, so it has a 14-karat gold nib. If you were to buy a new Montblanc 149 today, it would have an 18-karat gold nib. So that's just a good way of giving you a size comparison between, as we said, the pens themselves were pretty much the exact same length, and you can see the nibs are pretty much exactly the same size. So these two German high-end pen manufacturers really much work very much, go head-to-head with each other pretty much in every conceivable way. I know what you're thinking. Enough of this chit-chat about the nib sizes and the great pinstripes and the clip and all that stuff. Pens were meant to write, and you want to see it right. Well, guess what? I'm going to show you that right now. Okay, folks. As we said, this is the Pelikan Souverain M1005 Stresemann. And as you would probably expect, this nib just writes fantastic. This is a medium. This is a medium, 18 karat nib. Now, one thing that's Pelikan 1000 series nibs are somewhat known for is not being having flex, but being a tiny bit bouncy and having some degree of line variation. So they do have that. So as you can see, the line width from here to here varies actually quite a bit. So you do get a bit of variation. However, I would not call this a flex pen. I wouldn't like really push on it or anything like that. You could definitely spring this nib, etc. But it does have a bit of we'll call it 18 karat bounce, which is just very, very nice. It's obviously very smooth. It obviously flows beautifully, as you might expect. Just really a very, very fantastic writing pen that just again, beautiful writing. As you might expect, a pen this expensive should write well. Now, one thing I will say, if you live in the US and you're interested in buying this pen, I really wanted this pen, but it was just a lot of money. And I wanted to see if I could save some money on it. So I realized that the overseas retailers in Europe sell this pen for quite a bit less. And if you don't pay the VAT, which you wouldn't be paying if you're having the pen shipped out of the country, you save even more. So I was able to find a vendor in the UK who offered free shipping because it was such an expensive order. So free shipping, no VAT, and the pen was cheaper to begin with. I saved quite a bit of money on this. So shop around very carefully if you're in the US and you're looking to buy this pen. Obviously, I would have warranty issues because I didn't buy it in the US through an authorized US retailer, etc. But that's a risk I was willing to run to try to save some money, and that's exactly what I did. So again, the pen is quite expensive, but do some careful shopping around. Perhaps use an overseas option like I did, and you could maybe save yourself a bit of coin by doing that. So that is basically this beautiful pen. I guess that's about all I have to say about this pen. Let's talk about this ink for just a moment now. Okay, folks, this ink is Pelikan Edelstein Star Ruby. So this is basically just a very deep ruby red. Very, very pretty ink. This was their ink of the year last year. Edelstein is Pelikan's sort of high-end ink line. They come out with a different ink of the year every year, and they usually come out with a matching pen, usually in the M200 series. So they came out with a pen that was matched color to match this Star Ruby as well. And this is just a really, really pretty ink. And these are among my favorite bottles. These bottles are just pieces of art. Look great sitting on your desk all by themselves. So really, really nice ink. They don't make a ton of different Edelstein inks, but they do come out with, like I said, a new ink of the year every year. And they're all sort of gemstone themed, like Star Ruby, etc. Edelstein means gemstone in German. So that is pretty much this ink. It's just a great deep red, little pinky red kind of. Just looks just a great looking ink. I bet you thought I was going to put a black or a gray ink in here, didn't you? Well, I fooled your expectations. No, you don't fool someone's expectations. I thwarted your expectations. In any case, yeah, I wanted something that really just kind of popped and stood out with this kind of ordinary gray looking pen. Now, speaking of ordinary and gray looking, one thing that's actually interesting about this pen, this is a very classy looking pen. The gray pinstripes literally look like a suit that someone would wear to a fancy or formal occasion. If you're looking to buy a pen to sign something for like a special formal occasion, I mean, frankly, I can't think of a better one than this. I mean, this just oozes special formal occasion. It literally is probably the most formal looking pen you could possibly imagine. It's kind of why I put the red ink in it, to kind of subvert that a little bit. But you put a black ink in this. This is as conservative as it gets, but it's just beautiful. And there you go. That's what this ink looks like on Rhodia paper. Let's take a quick look at what this ink looks like on Tomoe River paper. Okay, folks, once again, this is Pelikan, Edelstein, Star Ruby. And you do get a little bit of shading and color variation here, going from like a pink to a red, etc. So it is very pretty in that regard. Obviously not as conservative an ink as the pen itself is, but like I said, I want something that really popped and had contrast. But this is just a really pretty deep red ink. If you have an occasion for an ink like this, I think you'll be very, very, very pleased. Really well made, nice ink. Just a really nice color. Really pops well. Like it a lot. Well, this was just a great pen. I'm just really pleased with this. Great ink. I think this was a winner this week. What do we think? I really hope you enjoyed watching this episode, because I know I enjoyed making it. If you're not a subscriber, why don't you become one? Keep those thumbs up coming. If you have a comment or two or three, I'd love to hear it. And as always, until we see each other again, have a great day. Bye-bye.